I stood frozen in the doorway, staring at my son as if he were a stranger. His face was twisted with anger I had never seen before, his hands trembling as he gripped my phone. "You'll rot in here," he shouted, his voice echoing through the basement like a curse that would not fade. Before I could even process what was happening, he slammed the phone against the wall, shattering it into pieces. The sharp crack made me flinch, and my heart pounded violently against my chest. "What are you doing?" I cried, stepping toward him, but he pushed me back with a force that shocked me. I stumbled, nearly falling. He didn't even hesitate. He turned, rushed up the stairs, and slammed the basement door shut behind him. The sound was final, like a verdict. I ran after him, pounding on the door, screaming his name, begging him to open it. "Please. This isn't funny." My voice cracked, desperation rising with every second. But there was no answer. Only silence. Hours passed, though it felt like days. The darkness crept in slowly as the dim bulb overhead flickered and then steadied, casting long, eerie shadows across the walls. I sank to the floor, my hands shaking, my throat raw from screaming. I tried to make sense of it. My son, my own son, had left me here. Left me to die. At some point, I heard footsteps upstairs, faint laughter, the clinking of glasses. He was still there, living his life as if nothing had happened. The realization cut deeper than any physical pain. By morning, the house above had gone silent. I knew then that he had left. Truly left. I was alone. The basement air felt thick and stale, pressing down on my chest with every breath I took. I forced myself to stand, my legs weak and unsteady, and began searching through the dim light for anything that might help me survive. The room was cluttered with old furniture, broken boxes, and forgotten junk, the kind of place where memories went to decay. My fingers brushed against dusty surfaces as I moved, my mind racing. I found a small flashlight tucked inside an old drawer, its beam weak but still functioning. Relief washed over me, brief but powerful. As I continued searching, I noticed a rusted cabinet in the corner, half hidden behind a pile of debris. It took all my strength to pull it open, the hinges creaking loudly in protest. Inside, I found several cans of food, their labels faded but still intact. My heart skipped. Someone had placed these here deliberately. This wasn't random. I opened one with a rusted tool I found nearby, the smell unpleasant but not unbearable. Hunger overpowered hesitation, and I ate slowly, trying to conserve what little I had. Questions flooded my mind. Why was there food here? Who had prepared for this? And why did it feel like this basement had a purpose far beyond storage? The more I looked around, the more I realized how carefully arranged everything seemed. This wasn't just a forgotten space. It was something else entirely. As I explored further, my hand brushed against the wall, and I felt something unusual, a loose brick. I paused, my breath catching as I pressed against it. It shifted slightly under my touch. My pulse quickened. I pushed harder, and the brick slid inward with a soft scraping sound. A narrow gap appeared, revealing darkness beyond. I hesitated, fear curling in my stomach, but curiosity pushed me forward. Using the flashlight, I peered inside and saw a narrow passage stretching into the unknown. The air that flowed from it was colder, carrying a faint, unfamiliar smell. I swallowed hard and squeezed through the opening, my heart pounding in my ears. The passage was tight, forcing me to move carefully, each step echoing softly. It felt wrong, like I was entering a place I was never meant to find. The deeper I went, the stronger the sense of unease became. The walls seemed to close in around me, and the silence was almost suffocating. After what felt like an eternity, the passage opened into a small hidden room. I stood there, frozen, trying to comprehend what I was seeing. The room was covered in dust, untouched for years, yet strangely preserved. Old furniture sat neatly arranged, as if someone had once lived here. A small table held faded photographs, their edges curled with age. I picked one up, my hands trembling. It showed a family I didn't recognize, their faces frozen in time. There was something unsettling about their expressions, something I couldn't quite place. In the corner of the room stood a locked trunk, its surface scratched and worn. I approached it slowly, my instincts screaming at me to turn back. But I couldn't. I needed to know. I found a metal rod nearby and forced the lock open with trembling hands. The lid creaked as I lifted it, revealing a stack of old letters tied together with a fraying ribbon. I untied it carefully, my fingers shaking, and began to read. The words sent a chill down my spine. They spoke of fear, of something hidden within the house, something that watched and waited. The writer described strange noises, shadows that moved when they shouldn't, and a growing sense of dread that never left them. My breath grew shallow as I realized what this meant. This wasn't just a story. It was a warning. As I read through the letters, a disturbing thought began to form in my mind. My son had been acting differently for months, distant, cold, sometimes even afraid. I had dismissed it as stress, as something temporary. But now I wasn't so sure. What if he knew about this place? What if he had found these letters before me? The idea made my stomach twist. Had he locked me down here because of this? To keep me from discovering the truth? Or to protect himself? I replayed every recent interaction with him, every strange look, every tense silence. It all started to make sense in a way that terrified me. He hadn't just changed overnight. Something had influenced him, something connected to this house. I looked around the hidden room again, my fear growing with every passing second. The air felt heavier now, as if the walls themselves were closing in. I wasn't just trapped in a basement. I was trapped in something much bigger, something far more dangerous than I had ever imagined. In the corner of the room, beneath a layer of dust, I noticed an old landline phone. It looked ancient, its cord tangled and brittle, as if it hadn't been used in decades. I stared at it, disbelief washing over me. There was no way it could work. The house above had modern wiring. This thing should have been long disconnected. Still, something compelled me to pick it up. My hand shook as I lifted the receiver, pressing it to my ear. I froze. There was a dial tone, clear and steady. My heart raced as I struggled to understand how this was possible. With trembling fingers, I dialed the only number I could remember, my son's. It rang once, twice. Then the line went dead. Panic surged through me. I tried again, but this time, nothing happened. Desperate, I used the keypad to type out a short message through an old text function I barely understood. I'm still alive. The words felt surreal, like something out of a nightmare. I set the phone down slowly, my mind spinning. If he received that message, what would he do? The answer came sooner than I expected. The next day, I heard footsteps above me, fast, uneven, filled with urgency. My heart leapt into my throat as I scrambled toward the basement stairs. Mom? His voice echoed down, filled with panic I had never heard before. Mom, answer me. I hesitated, unsure whether to respond. Part of me was still angry, still hurt. But another part, the part that was terrified and alone, couldn't stay silent. I'm here, I shouted, my voice shaking. There was a pause, followed by the sound of something heavy being moved. Then the door burst open, and he stood there, pale and wide-eyed. He looked at me as if he had seen a ghost. You weren't supposed to find it, he whispered, his voice trembling. I stared at him, confusion and fear swirling together. Find what? I asked. Before he could answer, a sound echoed from the hidden passage behind me, a slow, deliberate step. We both froze. The air seemed to shift, growing colder. My son's expression changed instantly, his fear deepening into something far worse. We have to go, he said urgently. But I couldn't move. Because I had already heard it again. Another step. Closer this time. The sound was unmistakable, and it didn't belong to either of us. My son backed away slowly, his eyes locked on the dark opening behind me. I tried to keep you safe, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. You don't understand what's down there. My mind raced, struggling to process everything at once. Then tell me, I demanded, my fear turning into frustration. But he shook his head, his face pale. It's too late for that. The words sent a chill through me. Another step echoed, followed by a faint scraping sound, like something dragging across the floor. I turned slowly, my body refusing to obey my instincts to run. The darkness in the passage seemed thicker now, almost alive. My son grabbed my arm, trying to pull me toward the stairs, but I couldn't look away. Something was moving within the shadows, something that didn't belong in this world. My heart pounded as a shape began to form, its outline barely visible in the dim light. My son's grip tightened, his fear now contagious. "Please," he whispered, desperation breaking through his voice. "We have to leave. Now." But I knew deep down that whatever was coming wasn't going to let us go so easily. The figure emerged slowly, its movements unnatural and jerky, as if it were learning how to walk again. My breath caught in my throat as I stared, unable to look away. It wasn't human, not anymore. Its form was distorted, its limbs too long, its posture wrong in a way that made my skin crawl. My son let out a strangled scream, the sound filled with pure terror. "This is why," he cried. "This is why I locked you in." His words barely registered as the figure stepped fully into the light. Its face, or what remained of it, was twisted into something unrecognizable, its eyes hollow yet somehow aware. I felt a wave of cold wash over me, stronger than anything I had experienced before. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in as the creature took another step forward. My son pulled at me again, his desperation growing. "It can't leave the basement," he said quickly, his voice shaking. "That's why I kept you here. To keep it contained." The realization hit me like a blow. He hadn't locked me in to kill me. He had locked me in to protect the world outside. But now, with the door open, everything had changed.